How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Iron King Inc. YouTube channel. Today we're working on the 8045 underground mining truck. Everything was going great. We have the fuel tank off of it. There's a few guards, some miscellaneous lines that we've been pulling on it. But the first component that we run into, actually a big problem, is that steering cylinder right over here. So we have this steering cylinder here. This is actually sold to a customer up in northern Canada. They bought it for a spare that they want to go ahead and rebuild themselves. So our only task here is to physically remove it from the truck. And it's a lot easier said than done, especially with what CAT says the process is on their information system on how to remove it. So we're gonna go over here to the computer. This is what shows us how to remove stuff. So CAT has what they call the Service Information System, or SIS. And that usually is a good reference point of how to remove and install certain components and how to rebuild components. Now, we looked it up on the Service Information System, and this is what it told us to do to remove that cylinder.
We got our serial number in here. We're looking for the steering, and we found the cylinder removal procedure here. And it tells us we're gonna need some forcing bolts right there, so that gave us a clue as to how we're going to take this thing apart. Removing some grease lines is fairly simple. Remove the nut and bolt, basically, that holds the whole conglomeration together. And then here you see we're going to use these forcing bolts, and those are actually going to remove a collet. They're going to push on a pin that's down in here and remove a collet for us. So that's what we're going to try next.
So our main concern, though, is it's not that side. This side is the end of the tractor. So the easy side is this over here. Our main concern is the inside of the tractor, or the chassis side, where the barrel of the cylinder is.
Correct. And then that, as we scroll along down here, is telling us to remove that same bolt. We also have to remove the side of the hoses that go in the transmission to uncover this transmission mount. We'll remove this transmission mount here, and that'll give us access to the top of the bolt, where we can remove that and add our forcing bolts and remove that collet.
All right, so what I was trying to explain to you guys on the CAT Service Information System is this pin way up inside of the main chassis body side of the truck. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop up here and give you guys a closer look at what we're messing with. So here's the top of the truck. We have all of the guards removed in order to get access to that cylinder. And here's what CAT is saying to do. So right here is our transmission mount. This is basically what stabilizes this big transmission inside this truck. So when you're driving, it's not wallering around, not vibrating. It basically holds the transmission to the chassis of the truck. And I'm trying to get the camera in here, but there's a hole underneath this line and actually underneath this mount. So what we have to do is remove this mount, remove these lines, and then hopefully that will give us enough access to get to the top bolt that holds the cylinder in. But that is just step one. Once we go ahead and we get that bolt out, we still have to put our forcing bolts in it to then push the collets out, and hopefully that pin is not stuck. So we're gonna get to that side of the truck here in a second, but first we're gonna go ahead and try and get the rod side of the cylinder out. Now we have our forcing bolt set up. So we pulled all of these rubber bungs out of here, which protect the threads on this collet. We're gonna take these new bolts, run these down, and hopefully this will pop out and then free up that pin that's inside of here. We're out of threads. Now, if we've done this right, that should sort of just kind of pop right out. Boink. All right, so we have our floating pin in here. Now we're just gonna do the same thing on the bottom, and that pin should slide right out. At least on this truck, there was a grease pump on this thing, and that grease pump was running 24/7. Every time we'd start the truck, it was just pumping grease the whole time. So hopefully all the pins that we encounter today are just perfectly greased and can come right out. Nailed it. That first pin came out super easy. it actually had a collet still on the bottom, but what ends up happening is this basically sandwiches the pin into itself, and when you remove these, usually they don't come out like that, but we got lucky that there was so much grease there that it just, once we pulled that top collet off, that pin just fell right out the bottom. Hopefully that happens on that side of the tractor. That's the one that I'm worried about. All right, so our next goal here, we're gonna get these 2 lines removed, and that should give us access to that transmission mount right there.
Now we're in business, boys. Alright. So now we'll take that freaking 30 mil probably. Yeah, that.
All right, so we got those 2 lines removed right there and right there, which gives us a little bit closer look of this mount. So we have these 2 bolts right here, and we also have 4 bolts on the underside of this. So what we need to do here is undo these bolts, undo the side bolts, which should give us enough room for the hole underneath here to put a large socket and an extension to get to the cylinder down there, which you can partially see. We kind of tried getting it with a regular ratchet, and it just was not gonna work. So we're gonna focus on now of getting this guy out, and that should give us better access. Now go. You got it.
I nailed it. Woo! That was an extra one for the homies. Oh, give me. Nailed it. Okay, now we have 4 bolts on the side that are gonna be really fun.
So now that we've got the 2 hydraulic hoses removed and we have the 2 large bolts for the mounts removed, these big guys, we need to pull the side bolts off of the transmission that actually hold the bracket. They basically join the frame to the transmission. So we need to pull that bracket off, and that should theoretically give us enough room to get to the collet that holds that pin in. Hopefully that's enough to get it out. So there's the bracket right there, and then we have 4 bolts that are tucked all the way up in there. We need to remove those to get that bracket off, which will then give us access to the pin right there. Okay, so we were working on that mount, and it looks like we may have just enough room on this other side here, right on this side, to get an extension down here to the bottom of that pin. So we're gonna give that a shot and see if we can get to it right there. Here's our plan so far. We are actually going to adapt the world here. We have a 1-inch socket down to a 3/4, and we have 2 3/4 extensions and then 2 1-inch extensions. I think, oh wait, can we do this? Oh, my hands are too greasy. Got it. There we go. And then, now that is a work of art. Hopefully our impact, it doesn't take all the force out of it and not work, but that is our best plan so far. Dude, I got it. We're gonna adapt the world.
Well,
You like that? You like adapting the world?
Yeah. I got
You get to hold together?
50-50.
So we have successfully adapted the world, and we are going to try and take our 3/4 impact now, and hopefully it's enough to zip that bolt off on that pin. What do you think?
I think Robert's gonna have to crawl underneath there with the crescent wrench to try and figure out how to hold the nut on the other side.
Okay.
Well, getting carried away. Getting carried away. There we are. Lefty loosey.
What happens is when you don't have enough power with the 3/4, you get the 1-inch. So we've got Tony the air hammer here. We call him Tony because he really gives them a whack. So we're gonna take the 1 inch, adapt it down to 3/4. Hopefully he's got enough hit to get that loose. Oh. Okay, lefty loosey. All right, so we have to have a little bit of a rethink on the top of that pin. So that bolt is so tight. When we put our big extension on there and hit it with our gun, the problem is there's so much twist in that long extension that it's taking all of the impact out of our guns. So our next plan of action is we're gonna get a giant breaker bar, and hopefully of us just pulling on it is enough to break it loose, and then we can go ahead and use our impact to spin it the rest of the way off. At least that's the plan. We'll see if it works out. So we're back. This is day 2 of the steering cylinder debacle. So here's where we're at. We've started removing all of the hydraulic lines. So this one is fully removed, and also the one on the inside is fully removed. So we were able to get this wrench on the bottom of the nut that holds that collet on. So what we're hoping is, now that we've got enough room, we're going to pull a couple more lines where Robert is standing that will allow us to take this big giant breaker bar, and hopefully that will give us enough force to break that thing loose, and then we can get our impact wrench, our impact gun on that thing, and hopefully spin it all the way out. So we've got everything removed. We have our big giant breaker bar. So this thing goes all the way to a breaker bar 3/4, and then with like 20 extensions that goes down to the bottom of that socket. Hopefully this works. I think it's moving.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because I'm holding the wrench tied up against the wall, so it's not moving down here.
Okay. We got about half a turn out of it.
Nice.
I think. Or we're just breaking our extension slowly.
Yeah, they're twisting.
Yeah. I don't know what's happening so far.
So do you need to go back another tooth or something?
Probably. I'm getting more out of it.
Well, this is still tight over here. Do you want to go back one?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. We'll go back.
Yeah, you're going forward. Okay, that's okay though. It's okay. All right, we'll stick that back on there.
I'm on it.
Okay. Is it on there or off?
It's on. My wrench and the bottom had slipped. It's on now.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're definitely pulling on the wrench pretty hard.
All right, so we can get some more clicks out of it.
Okay. Okay, go for it.
Okay. Oh yeah.
All right.
Yep, ready?
Yep.
Good. Click. 2 clicks. So we were able to get that bolt broken loose. Now we're hoping that our 1-inch impact will hopefully spin that thing out.
You ready, Phil?
Yeah.
Give it a shot. Yeah!
Nailed it.
Hell yeah. Success.
God dang.
That was not fun at all.
That was not fun.
This, no joke, took us 4 hours to get that one bolt out. Finally got it. We finally got that bolt out, and we actually ended up cutting the head off of this thing. we were able to use the 1-inch impact. It got the nut off the bottom, but unfortunately our socket got stuck and I was not strong enough to get it off of the bolt, so we had to lift it up and then cut little notches in this thing until it was basically nothing, and then we hit it with a pry bar and broke the head off. It's out, job is done on that side. Now we have to go ahead and get that collet off, and hopefully that pin will lift straight up. All right, so earlier in the video, I showed you guys where we removed the collet from the top of the outside of the rod side of the cylinder. Now we need to do the same step, but on the inside of the barrel. And I just want to show you what that looks like. So this was the collet that we removed from right here. So our plan is we have a shorter bolt. We're gonna run them in here just like we did for the top collet, but it's gonna be up inside and underneath there. So we're really hoping that these bolts will go underneath of there and be small enough to fit, but long enough to push that collet out of that bore. So we're gonna give it a shot and see if that works.
This is the top collet coming out on this steering cylinder.
All right, major update. This is the collet from the top of the cylinder that sits basically like this. We got it out. We also got the collet on the bottom loose. So now we're gonna go ahead and try and get a slide hammer in here and see if we can lift that pin straight out. Hopefully it goes. Robert says it's loose, right?
It's loose.
Okay, well, with a little bit of luck, we'll pull that pin out, and then we're gonna move on to slinging this cylinder up and pulling it straight out of the machine. Yeah, she's heavy. I need a rag to hold on to it while you do that.
Because I can only go up so far.
Okay.
And then I hit the...
Okay, go again. My dang hand. Oh no.
It's sliding.
No, I think the collet is stuck on the bottom of it. Yes! We got it out!
Face, dude.
Okay. Win. Scrap bin. Cylinder. Let's get it out. Okay, so now we have both of our pins out. We are ready to finally pull this cylinder out of the truck. So what Kat showed us to do, this is no joke here, it physically shows to sling the cylinder right here and start pulling up. There's no way this is gonna be controlled. I'm gonna try and push down on it to kind of slow it down, but there is no very controlled way to pull this thing out of here that I can see. There's just no good ways to pick it. The frame is directly above it, so there's really no way without a giant spreader of some sort that you lower down on each side and then shuffle it out, and then you're gonna have to somehow stabilize the cylinder and then reset and re-grab it. So we're gonna go with what Kat says to do, which is sling it right here, pull it out, and we're gonna do it in the most controlled way as possible. Go south, yeah.
South.
Okay, okay. So it's ready to go now. So I'm gonna pull on it here. Okay, it's gonna go in about 2 seconds, so watch out. We'll try not to damage anything. You gotta let some pressure off it, bud.
Down?
Yeah, I think
Can we give her a prod?
so. Not yet. Come up on it. A little more. So yeah, give it a pry there.
So. Here it comes.
Okay.
Got it. I caught it. I got it.
Nice.
Watch your hands.
Now let's watch this rod here. I'm gonna try and jam this in here and hold up on it. Okay, I got it. Now let's swing us out. Now, yep, go south. Here, I got it with this. Yep, I got it. Watch your fingers. Go west. Yep, down. And then go west.
When that thing comes out of it.
Yep, it's all good. I got it.
Okay, but let's pound it down.
Yep, okay. So go down now, down.
I got it.
Okay. Woohoo! She's out. All right, the cylinder is finally out of this machine. I will tell you one thing, I feel so bad for whoever has to put that thing back in that machine. Unfortunately, we just pulled it out. Guys, we're gonna wrap the video up right here. As always, I really appreciate you watching my videos. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, throw it down into the comment section. And as always, if you did like this video and you enjoy watching this content, I post this stuff all the time. So please consider subscribing to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one.